Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for the delay today. So, what's the last topic which you are discussing today? Yesterday? Global cities we have been discussing now. Okay. See, now we'll be discussing the future cities. So, in answers, you have to write all these things. See, they'll not be focusing much on the previous topic which you have done, that is concentric zone model, sectoral model. All these concepts will not be asked much. So, generally, the questions are solution oriented in nature. So, they'll be they'll be asking the questions based on the present urban problems and what is the post modern development of cities. So, nowadays, how the cities have been developing. So, that will be the major focus in the examination. So, the previously whatever you have done, so those concepts will be used while writing the answers. So, you cannot expect a full-fledged question based on what you have done previously. So, the question will be generally associated with the urban problems and how the future development should be. That means that's why we're talking about the future cities. Of course, this topic is not there in the syllabus. लेकिन एग्जाम में पूछ रहा है इसलिए कर रहा हूं. So wherever required now, that you should go through some extra things. For that, I'll be giving you material. But again, material हमेशा ऐसे रहता है कि copy paste work है. I'm telling you honestly, वहाँ से देखा, यहाँ से देखा, वो टेक्स्ट बुक से, ये टेक्स्ट बुक से, वो सब copy paste content रहता है, which will not be much useful for your examination. So अभी तक जितने भी आपने टॉपिक्स किया है, उसका नोट्स आपके पास पूरा बना हुआ है. उसके लिए कुछ भी एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. तो कुछ भी एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ना है आपको, यू हैव द टेक्स्ट बुक्स, यू हैव द ह्यूमन ज्योग्राफी टेक्स्ट बुक ऑफ माजिद हुसैन, उसमें देख लेना, रेफर थ्रू दैट. So whatever content, extra material, if you're asking me to give, I'll be giving from that only. So instead of getting confused, क्या पढ़ना है, मटेरियल पढ़ना है या नोट्स पढ़ना है, ये सब कंफ्यूज होने की वजह आप नोट्स को बहुत अच्छी तरह पढ़ लो. ओके, एंड जहाँ पे भी लगता है मुझे कंटेंट, एक्स्ट्रा कंटेंट देना चाहिए, मैं खुद आपको दे दूंगा. और लेट्स एनीवेज, ओके, सम स्टैंडर्ड मटेरियल इज देयर, वो बुकलेट्स है, आपको मिल जाएंगे. So don't worry about that. But first, concentrate on the notes. Future cities. Write down. In 2008, for the first time, in the human history, more than half of the world's population was living in cities. The United Nations forecast says that this number would rise to 70% by 2050. Now let's see the various models of the future cities or the smart cities. Now let's see the definition of the smart cities according to Government of India. So according to Government of India, what are the components of the smart city? So it's a website. You can refer to this website, the smartcitiesgovernment.in. So here some components are given of smart cities. So these are the components. So whenever the government is giving something of this sort, you should note down these kind of things. Okay? According to Indian government idea of smart city. According to the Indian government's idea of smart city. So look at the keywords here. These keywords you have seen previously also. Last time क्या देखा था? Last time when we were discussing about cities, development, economic development is required, and nature resilience, environmental, and then equity, social, okay, social, economic equity, social equity, equality होना चाहिए, environmental growth होना चाहिए, at the same time economic growth होना चाहिए. 3 components है, हर जगह देखा है. So even in the smart city mission of the government, see these things will be more useful to you in GS than in optional subject. So look at the keyword here: drive economic growth, improve the quality of life by the use of technology. Okay, here the major focus is on quality of life and economic growth. Other 2 things are missing. So here environment is missing and social equity is missing. These 2 things are missing. Keep these things in mind. This is Government of India definition of smart city. And here the Government of India's major focus is on technology. But this technology is not everything. So that we need to understand. Done? Criticism. The smart city mission of the government. See, you don't have to know these things. How much money has been allotted? Again, you should also know the money here, 2 lakh crore. 2 lakh crore for 100 cities. Right? That means one city would be getting how much? 2000 crore. 2000 करोड़ एक कंट्री को मिलेगा, राइट? जस्ट टू पुट द थिंग्स इन पर्सपेक्टिव, यू नो, इस बिल्डिंग का कॉस्ट कितना है? एक सिंगल बिल्डिंग का कॉस्ट अराउंड 8,000 to 9,000 crore. एक बिल्डिंग का कॉस्ट इज एंटीला. एंड हाउ मच द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज अलॉटिंग फॉर वन स्मार्ट सिटी हियर? 20,000 है क्या? 2,000 होगा ना? 2 लाख है, 100 है स्मार्ट सिटीज. 2,000 crore. 2,000 crore is given to one smart city. That too, this is PPP modes also. ऐसे पूरा सरकार का पैसा नहीं है, सरकार प्लस प्राइवेट सेक्टर पार्टिसिपेशन. So 2,000 crore for one city. The budget will be very less, right? Criticism में लिखो. The budget would not suffice. The budget would not suffice to major focus is on technology. Major focus is on technology. It is majorly technologically driven. It is majorly technologically driven. The Sunil is asking, what is harnessing technology? Means गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया अभी ये सोचती है स्मार्ट सिटी मिशन मीन्स सिटी में हर जगह वाईफाई लगा देना, सीसीटीवी कैमरा हर जगह लगा देना, इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी पेनिट्रेट करना. द मेजर फोकस इज बेस्ड ऑन दिस ओनली. मीन्स इट इज मेजरली टेक्नोलॉजिकली ड्रिवन. So nothing much about infrastructure has been taught. Okay, so this is the focus here. Now what is the other criticism here? Social equity and environmental sustainability is missing. Social equity and environmental sustainability is missing. So you will understand this better when we understand the models of other cities. बाकी जगह स्मार्ट सिटी का मतलब क्या होता है एक बार देखते हैं. ओके, सो नेक्स्ट इज सिंगापुर's CLC livability framework. Singapore's CLC livability framework. So this is CLC, this is Singapore's livability framework. So these are the standard diagrams which you find everywhere. हर जगह ये मिलेगा. ये सिंगापुर का मॉडल है. यहाँ पे देखते हैं और ये यहाँ पे क्या है, CLC's livability framework. See, यहाँ पे देखो क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ है, एनवायरमेंट है, इकोनॉमी है. Here also social equity is missing because in Singapore it is not that big a problem because सिंगापुर में हर कोई एक गुड स्टैंड ऑफ लिविंग है. ये ड्रॉ कर लो, एग्जाम में ये सब ड्रॉ करना होता है. नाउ सी you feel this as evolution from what India's smart city vision is. There are more dimensions here. So in future we can copy these models. See, even if you're not remembering all these things, integrated master planning and development or dynamic urban governance, you have to remember these three. अगर ये भी याद नहीं आ रहा है, smart city means it is not just about economic development or use of technology, it's also about sustainable development and it's also about equity. इतना ध्यान रखो, बहुत है. Okay? So why have compared these two? Because Singapore has one of the best models. Singapore is a city model, means एक देश ही एक city है. So वहाँ की जो practices है best है. That's why I compared the Singapore model with that of the India's model. So India's model is lacking a lot of components. It's not even broad in horizon. Singapore is also not ideal, but it is better than what India's model is. Okay, so you don't have to remember all this. At least remember these major components. If you are making such kind of diagrams in examination, it will be impressive. Okay. Now let's challenges. Common challenges in smart city development. Common challenges in smart city development. Now you must have seen all these pictures recently of migrant laborers, especially during the COVID. So we have created systems for the upper class and the middle class, but for the poor labor class, we haven't really developed any system. They don't have any belongingness here. They don't feel that they belong here. So when this COVID has struck, there was no livelihood option for them, but they had to migrate very long distances, and we could not even provide any kind of facility for these people for migration. So they have been treated like what, sheep or cattle. You can look at these pictures. Now, in future also, tackling this, if you want to build smart cities, you have to plan it for everyone. If you have to plan it for everyone, you should know the patterns of migration. You should know what type of people are coming in the city, from where they come, what is their socio-economic status, where they're going to live. If you're not providing space for them, they will encroach into natural spaces, they will encroach into the margins of the ecosystem. कहीं सिटी में जंगल होगा, वहाँ जाके बस जाएंगे, या तो सिटी में नाले होंगे, उसके आसपास जाके बस जाएंगे, या तो दिल्ली में यमुना रिवर है, यमुना के आसपास जाके बस जाएंगे, रोड साइड में कहीं पे भी टेंट लगा लेंगे, फ्लाईओवर के नीचे रहते हैं. So if you're not planning for them, then it is going to become a very big problem. You cannot really have a smart city. So major challenges, note down 3 challenges. One is managing migration. 2, countering inequality. 2, countering inequality. 3, sustainable living. So right under managing migration, in the past 30 years, the world urban population has risen from 1.6 billion to 3.9 billion. 1.6 billion to 3.9 billion. In the next 20 years, it will surpass 6 billion. And most of this growth will be due to the migration. And most of this growth will also happen, that is more than 90% of the growth, more than 90% of this growth will happen in the developing countries which do not have enough resilience, which do not have enough resilience. Now look at this picture over here. On one side, you have posh apartments where the higher class, upper middle class live. On the other side, you have the proliferation of the slums. So, as in when the migration increases, the most of the people who will be coming to the urban areas will be the poor working class. So, they will be dwelling in the slums. So, this will increase inequality in the urban areas. The second major challenge for the smart city development is this: countering inequality. Second challenge is countering inequality. Countering inequality. That is, providing equitable access to all the elements of urban life, including the transport, sanitation, healthcare, education, etc. Third major challenge is sustainable scaling. That is, the development of new infrastructure, should also ensure reduction of pollution, and creation of safe and healthy environment. Along with the above three, preventing terrorism, defending against cyber attacks, preventing crime, maintaining social cohesion, fighting climate change, are also the major challenges. So, you are now writing in an answer format. First, you have mentioned what is a smart city mission of India. You have mentioned what are the problems. When you're giving a problem, you're also giving a solution of the Singapore model. Afterwards, if you have to develop the smart cities, what are the various challenges? Challenge likha? Now way out. Way out. What it should be then? What it should be? So what is the way out? What is the way out? How the city should be developed then? How the cities should be developed. Okay, so write down some points here. So all the topics which I am dealing now, they are almost in the same format. Firstly, we mention what is the issue, then we compare it, and then we talk about the problems. But when you're talking about the problems, always give the solution also. So all your answers should be solution oriented, because when you become a district collector, your job is to find a solution. Your job is not just to find a fault. You're finding a fault, then that is the job of opposition parties. Since you're the part of the government, if you're finding a fault, you should also find a solution to the problem. So let's see what should be done. Okay, first, green planning of public spaces. Green planning of the public spaces. मीन्स ग्रीनरी मैक्सिमम इंश्योर करो जहां पे भी पब्लिक स्पेस है. फॉर एग्जांपल बस स्टेशन है, ओके, along the roads, parks, and along the drainages, etc. All examples. Roads, bus stops, railway stations. So Harsh is asking, government has launched affordable renting housing complexes scheme for migrant workers. Yes, you can always mention on the government schemes, but also see, your job as an administrator is to find a solution for the problem, right? So government ka scheme hai, you should also analyze how far it is successful and how many migrant laborers are actually living in this. Harsh, find a data on this. Scheme तो हर जगह है, हर एक चीज के लिए scheme है, but is it actually coming into reality? Okay, even that should be mentioned when you are mentioning the scheme, right? Next is smart health communities. Smart health communities. Communities, smart health communities. Means the community should be designed in such a way that health also should be maintained, reducing pollution, such as you can have third point 15-minute city. 15 मिनट में आप सिटी का आर पार होना चाहिए. जो भी आपको ऑफिस जाना है, आपको शॉपिंग जाना है, आपको कहीं पे भी जाना है, 15 मिनट से ज़्यादा नहीं लगना चाहिए. इट्स कॉल्ड एज 15-minute city. Third point is 15-minute city. Next, mobility should be intelligent, sustainable. Mobility should be intelligent and sustainable. Next, digital innovation ecosystem. Digital innovation ecosystem. For example, if you want to use any service, if you want to use any service in the city, you should have one smart card. Means, for example, बस में भी वही कार्ड काम करना चाहिए, ट्रेन में वही कार्ड काम करना चाहिए, and if you want to use public transport, same thing should work. If you also use public park, also same card should work. So if you belong to that city, you should be having a smart card of that city. So everything is digitized. There is hassle free. For provision of any kind of services is to be digital. If you want to paying electricity bill, if you want to paying water bill, if you want to paying any property tax, etc., everything should be digitized. It should be hassle free. It should be non bureaucratic in nature. Next, circular economy and producing locally. Circular economy and producing locally. See, circular economy means like reduce, reuse, recycle. Means कोई भी चीज को वेस्ट नहीं करना है. That is called a circular economy. Next thing is producing locally. See, urban areas are highly dependent upon energy and food from outside. They are not self-reliant. So that's why we should devise a system to produce everything locally. For example, solar energy use कर सकते हो to produce the energy locally. You can have gardens within the city. You can grow vegetables on the rooftops. So that is producing locally. This is how you reduce the ecological footprint. Circular ये सब examples लिखते रहना because बाद में याद नहीं रहेगा. Circular economy means example is reduce, recycle, reuse. Means no wastage, zero wastage. Next, everything has to be produced locally, especially food and energy. Next, smart and sustainable infrastructure. Smart and sustainable infrastructure. Sustainable infrastructure means, for example, nowadays we have zero energy, net zero buildings, net zero airports as a system, sir. That means they will not be consuming any extra energy. Rather, sometimes they also export energy. So called as net zero buildings. Net zero means, for example, this building is there. It is consuming electricity from outside. Imagine a building, green building, which does not require any electricity. उसका जितना भी energy uses है, rooftop solar से होगा. And जो सिर्फ बाहर लाइट नहीं है क्या? बाहर लाइट है. Why are we using tube lights in the classroom? Can't we open that? Open करेंगे तो थोड़ा बहुत लाइट आएगा. At least दो ट्यूब लाइट का energy तो बच जाएगा. We could have had a glass here also. Outside light would have come. So we are not using the light which is available outside, we are using the artificial lighting. Cooling also consumes a lot of energy. So we can have natural cooling system. For example, I'll show you some buildings which does not require air conditioning. Have you seen this, ye wala? No. You have seen this ant hill? Ant hill. क्या बोलते हैं इसको? What do you call this? Ant hill. इसमें सांप रहता है. So this has the air spaces are in such a way that it has a natural cooling. कितना भी बाहर गर्मी होने दो, अंदर cooling होती है. It's a natural design. Now I'll show you a building which is based on this. See, this building does not require any kind of artificial cooling. So this building has been designed by Ant Hill. इसमें एयर कंडीशनिंग नहीं है बिल्डिंग में. पानी. Understood? So this field is called as biomimicry. You can reduce the consumption of energy by building it smartly. See, smart does not just mean the usage of Wi-Fi or technology or IT infrastructure. This is also smart building. Smart in terms of what? In terms of fighting climate change. Okay, this is biomimicry. So smart sustainable building and infrastructure. Next, usage of artificial intelligence, AI. Usage of artificial intelligence, that is AI. Next is cyber security and privacy awareness. See, cyber security should be there, but also privacy should be there. Matlab, if you are being watched, you should know where you are being watched. Now, recently, Hyderabad and Delhi have been celebrating that they have the most surveillance cameras in the city. It's a good thing. It's a property of a police state. You are being surveillance everywhere. It's a bad thing. It's not a good thing. We're not a police state. Lekin without having a mass surveillance, you should also provide security. Hai na? So that kind of systems we should develop. That is called as privacy awareness. Means you should be protected also. At the same time, you should having privacy also. Both. Next is Predictive policing through AI. Predictive policing through AI. What is this? I'll tell you, see, based on the data now, in Los Angeles, so they have been feeding a computer with a large amount of data. And with the help of the data, the AI could predict, it could tell the police that at 9:58 a.m. in this street, okay, a crime is going to happen. And this came out to be true. I'll show you. So, researchers use AI to predict the crime. So, by the use of AI, we'll be able to predict the crime. Means कंप्यूटर ने पहले प्रिडिक्ट कर दिया कि यहाँ पे क्राइम होने वाला है, पुलिस को बता दिया. So police were actually going and waiting there. So this is the usage of AI in preventing crime. So you can see here, AI algorithm predicts future crimes 1 week in advance with 99% accuracy. So this is coming from Science Daily. Science Daily is a very reputed article. कोई रिपब्लिक टीवी का नहीं बता रहा हूँ मैं, साइंस डेली का रिपोर्ट है. So such kind of systems can be used. Okay. So these are some of the features of the smart cities. So the kind of the content which you have will be it is more than enough for your GS as well as for your optional subject. In fact, GS में ज़्यादा helpful होगा because GS में ज़्यादा questions आएंगे इसके related. Okay. Now some miscellaneous topics are left. I'll cover these miscellaneous topics. Even these topics are not in the syllabus. इस syllabus का part नहीं है. But this will be helpful to you in writing the answers. So, development of urbanization process, give a heading. This is not part of the syllabus, but these are the brownie points. So this I could have given you as a handout only, but I think that this also needs some explanation. That's why I'm teaching this. So development of urbanization process. Now it can be divided into three processes, three stages. That is pre-modern, modern and post-modern. Post-modern. So this post-modern is very important. What is post-modern urbanization? A question can come. Write a question. Explain the various features of post-modern urbanization. Post-modern urbanization. Question can come in this format. Let's see pre-modern. Pre-modern. See, pre-modern in West is different, pre-modern in India is different, but more or less these are same. So what you had is concentric models, like you have seen in the Indian rural morphology. So in the middle you used to have elite. So then you have this lower classes, lower class, and you have outcast. See, I'm consciously using the class and caste here. Elite जिसके पास पैसा है, जिसके पास पैसा कम है, ये outcast है, means Dalits. Okay. So for Dalits, it's never about class, it's about caste all the time. Right? कितना भी पैसा हो, caste identity हमेशा रहती है. That's why outcast. So this was a typical, okay, pre-modern morphology of Indian settlements. Right? ये ड्रॉ कर लो. Cities where small scale settlements based on mercantile economy and a rigid social order. The elite class lived in exclusive central core, whereas the outcasts were living in a poorly built garbage filled periphery. The pre-modern cities are also called as pre-Fordist cities. Pre-Fordist. See, the Fordist is derived from the word Ford. Ford क्या है? Ford is a famous brand of America's automobile company. Ford सुना होगा? Ford EcoSport गाड़ी आती है, Ford की गाड़ी आती है. So the Ford belongs to General Motors in USA. So when the automobile revolution started, the Ford was dominating everywhere. जैसे इंडिया में मारुति सुजुकी कैसे डोमिनेट करता है हर जगह, वैसे फोर्ड डोमिनेट करता था. So the Ford company has created new industrial structures. So when we talk about modern we will be talking about the industrial towns and cities. So since this is before the phase of industrial revolution, we call it as pre-Fordist. Then you have Fordist. Then you also call as post-Fordist. These three words are very important because pre-modern, modern and post-modern can also be called pre-Fordist, Fordist and post-Fordist. Next, modern cities growth. Next is the modern cities growth. It started with the emergence of capitalism. Started with the emergence of capitalism, especially in the 20th century. Especially in 20th century. Two classes were created. Two classes were created. That is the capitalists and the working class. That is the capitalists and the working class. See, before this, because when the Europe was dominant under the church, so what the religion will say, you should not accumulate wealth, you should always give away the pleasures, worldly pleasures, live simple, ये सब चीजें बताते थे. But with the Renaissance, so these theories have become redundant. वो theories को छोड़ दिया. Now, the new philosophy has come, that is accumulation of wealth. Materialistic pleasures वो लेना चाहिए. A thinking बदल गया. Then accumulation as wealth become morally acceptable now. That's why people started accumulating lot of wealth. So that is how the capitalist class is also being accepted. Even in 70s and 80s in India, you see all the movies. All the movies कैसे होते हैं? Rich people were always shown as villains. The poor people were always shown as heroes, right? But if you say today's movies, ऐसा कुछ है क्या phenomena? No. Even the main character, the hero character, rich ही दिखाते हैं, right? Because at that time it was not acceptable, but now it has become acceptable, right? Next point. The accumulation of wealth by individuals, not only became morally acceptable, but also a dominant criteria of status and power. Dominant criteria of status and power. Next point. Depending upon their ability to pay land rent, the city structure has emerged. The city structure has emerged. Example is concentric zone model of Burgess. Example is concentric zone model of Burgess. So what is the concentric zone model of Burgess? In between what do you have? CBD. Away from the CBD you have industries. Away from the industries what do you have? Okay, residence. Okay, you'll be having different order of residence. Away from the residence what do you have? Agricultural fields. So this is how various classes also have emerged. So depending upon the land rent, depending upon the land rent, the density, the building structure, congestion, etc. is also defined. Next point. Near the factories, generally the migrant laborers and the poor working class lived. Poor working class lived. And away from the factory, there was an exclusive residential area for rich. Exclusive residential area for the rich. So this is the byproduct of Fordism. It's a byproduct of Fordism. Fordism means industrialization. From 1920s to mid 70s, 1920s to mid 70s, Fordism was a way of working. Fordism was a way of working and organizing the city structure. Next point. See, last time we have seen economic rationality, rational man, least cost theory. So what are the major principles of this least cost theory? In least cost theory, you always maximize profit. Land rent कम से कम देना है, transportation cost भी कम से कम देना है, and profits maximize करना है. Okay, all these are the features of a rational economic man. So Fordism also follows a rational economic man. Fordism is based on the principle of least cost approach, whereby the industrial activities are concentrated in such a way that unnecessary expenditure was cut out. Unnecessary expenditure was cut out, and thereby increasing the profits. Okay. Next, post-modern urbanization. Post-modern urbanization. See, 70s is a period of change everywhere. 70s was a period of turmoil. So last time also I have discussed, in 70s, lot of things were happening. Vietnam War, there was an opposition to Vietnam War in USA. There was Black Rights Movement, Panther Movement, Gulf oil crisis. So all this hippie movement. So all these things were happening in USA, and also you had Cuban Missile Crisis if you're talking about Russia. So this was a period of turmoil. Lot of changes were happening in the 70s, and 70s is also a time period. 1972, you had the first climate conference. 1972 Stockholm Conference. So climate change means the climate as a phenomena also has come into prominence. A turmoil का period था. So before 1970s, it was all about Fordism. इसके पहले सब कुछ Fordism था. Profit maximization. Exploitation. It was also phase of QR, quantitative revolution. Okay, so all these things were very prominent before the 70s. After 70s, the thinking has changed. So this is a period of turmoil. Even in India, जितने changes 70s में आए, including the Constitution of India, कोई भी time period में नहीं आया. 70s. So this is a period of the turmoil. So after 70s now, the Fordism also started failing. So that's why there was a need for the development of the post-modern cities. So in examination, when you're giving a solution, or if they're talking about urbanization and solutions, along with the smart cities topics which you have done earlier, you should also include this post-Fordist cities or post-modern cities. Okay, so this is the major focus here. Now let's see why the Fordism has failed, or the Fordist cities have failed. Okay. Likho. Give a heading: post-modern urbanization. Post-modern urbanization. The period of 1970s saw radical transformation of cities as the Fordism ran into trouble. So give a side heading. Reasons for the decline in Fordism. Reasons for the decline in Fordism. A. Failure to invest in R&D. Failure to invest in R&D. Research and development कुछ नहीं किया. Means the cities were going haphazardly. जैसे ग्रो हो रहा था वैसे ग्रो होने दिए. ऐसा planned development कुछ नहीं था. There was no planned development of any city. 2. Increasing cost of raw material. Because 1970s में oil shock आया था, Gulf oil crisis. Because of the Gulf War, at that time in 70s, the oil has become $140 per barrel. अभी कितना है? 120 के आसपास है डॉलर पर बैरल. 1970s में 140 पहुंच चुका था. It is due to Gulf War. It's also called as oil shock. So for the first time in 1970s, you had this oil shock. So because of the oil shock, since the oil is the major energy for transportation, so raw material cost also has increased. Second is increasing raw material cost. One more problem was, see, at that time the American middle class was emerging, right? Say from 50s, 60s, 50s and 60s में लोगों ने जो खरीदना है खरीद लिया. जिसको टीवी लेना है टीवी ले लिया, जिसको फ्रिज लेना है फ्रिज ले लिया, जिसको एयर कंडीशनर लेना है ले लिया, सब कुछ ले लिया. These are all mass produced goods in USA. So all the people have bought it. Now they are durable. एक बार खरीदेंगे तो फिर okay, at least for 10-15 years there is no need of buying these things because these are consumer durables. Now by 70s what happened is that all the Americans' homes were saturated. अभी factories क्या करेंगे? The factories were producing at a very mass scale because in 50s and 60s there was a lot of demand. After this what the factories will do? Because before this the city development was organized around the factories because Fordist model था. So क्या करेंगे factories? So again thinking has changed. देखो, market saturation of mass produced goods. Market saturation of mass produced goods. Next is system rigidity. System rigidity. And it resulted in rigidity. And it resulted in high capital cost of establishing factories. High capital cost of establishing factories. Because see, in the Fordist model, where were these factories located, industries were located? Near the CBD. Now here the cost of the land has increased. बिकॉज पहले का थिंकिंग क्या था, जहाँ पे मार्केट है उसके आसपास ही आपकी इंडस्ट्रीज होना चाहिए. सिंस द कॉस्ट ऑफ द रेंट इज वेरी हाई हियर, कॉस्ट ऑफ द लैंड इज वेरी हाई हियर, सो इट हैज बिकम अनसस्टेनेबल फॉर देम. सिटी के अंदर सर्वाइव करना बहुत मुश्किल हो गया उनको बिकॉज द कॉस्ट ऑफ लिविंग इज मोर हियर, द लैंड रेंट इज मोर, सो लॉट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स. नेक्स्ट, labor unrest due to increased cost of living. Labor unrest due to increased cost of living. So this has led to a lot of problems. So Fordist model has failed. Now after this, okay, what is the solution then? अब इसका solution क्या होगा? सारी चीजें यहाँ पे concentrate है. Now they have to reduce the land rent. So what they'll be doing? They will disperse. So earlier, see, because of the Second World War also, so most of the countries did not have any capital investment from the private players, because all these countries were functioning under Keynesian economics. Adam Smith economics. Adam Smith economics क्या है? Free hand. Means the private sector was given free hand. But after the Second World War, what happened? Again the government had to step in. पता चल गया private player के पास कुछ पैसा बचा नहीं है. So government had to step in. So that is when Keynesian economics has come. So in 50s and 60s, the most of the control was with the government, because government was funding most of the projects. Because after the Second World War, everything was devastated. सब कुछ कोलैप्स हो गया था. अभी किसको इन्वेस्ट करना है फिर से? एम्प्लॉयमेंट कैसे देना है? सो सरकार ने चालू किया. द गवर्नमेंट स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग लॉट ऑफ रोड्स, इट स्टार्टेड बिल्डिंग लॉट ऑफ फैक्ट्रीज, इट स्टार्टेड प्रोवाइडिंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट, इट स्टार्टेड स्पेंडिंग ए लॉट ऑफ मनी. सो लोग एम्प्लॉय होंगे तो उनके पास पैसा आएगा. ओके, व्हेन दे गेट मनी दे विल स्टार्ट डिमांडिंग फॉर द गुड्स. So that is how the government has put a lot of infusion into economy. It started pumping in a lot of money into economy. Now 50s and 60s, what will happen? When the government becomes larger and larger, it also becomes inefficient. Okay, that's why also opposition has come. People were frustrated. Why government everywhere? There should be privatization. Then in 70s, a new thinking has come, that is neoliberalism. So we should be having liberal economic policies. Like in 91 India has come. 91 में क्या आया था इंडिया में? LPG reforms आया. So West में the same ideas have come in 70s. So under Ronald Reagan administration and Margaret Thatcher. So Margaret Thatcher is in UK and Ronald Reagan in USA. So under these two people, a lot of changes have happened. Neoliberal principles have come into prominence. Okay, the solution to these problems was seen in neoliberalism, where the state will have a minimal role, accompanied with increasing privatization. And further, it also led to globalization. This also coincided with the development of the growth of IT. Change the para. Therefore, the world entered into the era of post-Fordism. Features क्या है लिखो? Post-Fordism features. See, let's do one thing for this. So let's see the feature here. Feature. And here you have modern cities. In this you'll have modern cities. And here you'll be having post-modern cities. So we'll have a comparison of these two. Modern and post-modern. Now let's see the city morphology. City morphology. So in the modern phase, what was the city morphology? कैसे था? Circulars, concentric zone model. लिखो यहाँ पे. In the modern phase, dominated by CBD and the other zones are concentrically located. Other zones are concentrically located. So इसका देखते हैं पोस्ट मॉडर्न सिटी का मॉर्फोलॉजी कैसे होगा. Now, what are the problems which you are facing in Ford cities? Ford city में क्या है? अंदर कंजेशन है, राइट? So Ford city में gated community, large shopping center, poor industrial area. Okay, fine. This looks fine. So you'll not be having a complete CBD and concentric model. Now this is based on multi-nuclei. Okay, लिखो वहाँ पे लिखो, लिखने के बाद ड्रॉ करना है. लिखो. It is based on multi-nuclei structures. It is based on multiple nuclei structures. आपको पता है multiple nuclei तो पता है ना? बहुत सारे growth centers होंगे यहाँ पे. Multiple nuclear structures plus the new features such as the edge cities, gated communities, specialized corridors such as economic corridors, theme parks, etc. Theme park. Now let's see what is edge city. Anyways, I'll be defining all these components again. So edge city is a city which is located outside the main city. It's a different city altogether. Gated communities, आपको पता है? Means here highly rich people will be staying here and their community is all gated because they are scared from the surroundings. That is a gated community. The specialized corridors, you'll be having special economic corridors along which the development happens. Next you have theme parks, means when people become rich and richer. So they want to live in a particular landscape. For example, they want to live in a garden city. So their gated community will have garden infrastructure everywhere. If somebody wants to have a beach kind of a theme, वो क्या करेंगे? सिटी के पास समुद्र होगा, वहां पे बीच टाइप ऑफ इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में उनका घर होगा. दिस आर कॉल्ड एज द थीम पार्क्स. अभी इवन इन दिल्ली यू सी यू विल हैव सम सोसाइटीज नेम्ड एज लाइक फ्लावर कम्युनिटी. मीन्स उस सोसाइटी में हर जगह फ्लावर के प्लांट्स होंगे, हर एक तरीके के. So these are called as the theme parks. So this is how the typical post Fordist city will look like. Draw it. Fantasy land. That somebody wants to be located in a wonderland like Alice in the Wonderland. अब थीम पार्क जैसा, मतलब if somebody's fantasy is to stay in हैरी पॉटर वाला हाउस, तो हैरी पॉटर जैसा पूरा घर बना देंगे, उसमें रहेंगे. लेकिन डिज्नीलैंड में किसी को रहना है, उसी थीम पे पूरा हाउसिंग सोसाइटी बनेगी. So like that, these are all theme parks. So draw this. This is post Fordist city. Draw it. I'll be back in a minute. The post-Fordish city can be an important question, but till now it hasn't been asked. It can be asked in the future. Where you have to draw this map. In fact, nowadays the modern cities in India look like this. Then drawn. So next is city morphology is done, right? So this becomes one of the new morphological models also. Okay. So last time we have seen E.M. Burgess model, sectoral model, multiple nuclei model, plan city model. So this becomes post-Fordish model is also one of the morphology of cities. In fact, most of the cities follow this model now. Okay. Next, architecture. Architecture. Let's see the architecture. So last time when you have seen the architecture, cities architecture of modern cities, that is, you had concentric zone model. So in between you had the CBD. In between you had CBD. So then you had industries. So every structure here had a function, and this function was rational, completely rational, where the industries were located near CBD to minimize the cost. So complete rationality, complete functional. Now if you look at the post-modern cities, now why people are staying very far away in a gated community from the city? They work here in the city, they stay away. Are they rational? They have to spend a lot of money in traveling, right? Now look at this theme park. Theme park, that is, they're living in a society where that is Harry Potter based model or any kind of a fantasy world they're living in. Is it rational? Is it economical? No. Now see, large shopping centers. If you see IKEA showroom, Decathlon showroom, sports के सिटी के बाहर होते हैं, बहुत बाहर होते हैं. Ideally they should be located near the population, because population will also think that if it is inside the city, the transportation cost will be reduced. What people will do? The people will go outside the city and वहाँ से खुले में अच्छी तरह shopping करेंगे, right? So these are not completely economical and rational. Now architecture यहाँ पे लिखो. Modern में functional and rational. Post-Fordist is based on, it is spectacular, playful and unique architecture. Spectacular, playful and unique architecture. The third feature, urban government. Urban government. So we have seen that the government has become my baap. The government was providing all the essential services, whereas in case of postmodern cities, neoliberalism has come, PPP models have come, okay, sharing model has come, governance model has come. This is a government. Government means one single player. Governance means multiple players. Okay, let go. Municipality was dominant. Municipality was dominant, and it is the provider of essential services. Provider of essential services. Next, postmodern entrepreneurial governance. Entrepreneurial governance. That is PPP model. PPP model. That is, market players were involved in provision of services. Market players were involved in the provision of the services. Next, economy. Feature लिखो economy. Economy is mass scale production with least cost principle. Mass scale production with least cost principle. Next, here in postmodern, it is service oriented based on specialized needs. Service oriented based on the specialized needs. And instead of least cost, it has revenue maximization. Instead of profit maximization, it has revenue maximization. Next, planning. So what was in Fordist model? Centralized planning. यहाँ पे क्या है? Decentralized planning. Fordist ने centralized planning. Whereas post Fordist में fragmented design, that is decentralized. Fragmented design, decentralized. Aesthetic. हाँ, एस्थेटिक मीन्स ब्यूटी पे ज्यादा फोकस है ना यहाँ पे. ये देखो, ब्यूटी पे फोकस है. यहाँ पे देखो, लार्ज शॉपिंग सेंटर्स. इफ यू लुक एट द मॉडर्न शॉपिंग सेंटर्स, कितना अच्छा दिखता है. इफ यू लुक एट द मार्बल इनसाइड, इफ यू गो एंड लुक द वॉशरूम्स इनसाइड, ओके, बीच में पूरे ओके लगे होते हैं शैंडलर एंड ऑल. एस्थेटिक्स हैव बिकम मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. Next, culture. फोर्ड में क्लास डिविजन्स. फोर्ड सिटीज में क्लास डिविजन्स. पोस्ट फोर्डिस्ट में लाइफस्टाइल डिवीजन. लाइफस्टाइल डिवीजन. फोर्ड में लिखो, फोर्ड में क्लास डिवीजन मीन्स बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमी. डिवीजन इज बेस्ड ऑन इकोनॉमी. इकोनॉमिक पोलराइजेशन. इसमें सोशल पोलराइजेशन. सोशल पोलराइजेशन. So these are post-Fordist city. Now let's see the definitions of various things here. Edge cities. Give a heading. Means these are the features of the post-Fordist cities. हेडिंग लिख लो तो बाद में कंफ्यूज हो जाओगे. फीचर्स ऑफ पोस्ट फोर्डिस्ट सिटीज. फर्स्ट वन इज एज सिटी. फर्स्ट वन इज एज सिटी. See, पहले क्या था? So earlier you had, if this is city's major center, this is city's major center or major city. Away from the city, you used to have dormitory towns. Dormitory town. Dormitory town means the people from this town will go and work here in the major center and they'll go back. क्यों जाता है? सिर्फ सोने के लिए जाता है. तो यहाँ पे मेजर काम होता है, इनका जॉब यहीं पे होता है. वहाँ पे सिर्फ सोने के लिए. सुबह उठो, फिर काम पे भागो, फिर वापस जाओ, वहाँ जाके सो जाओ, फिर वापस आ जाओ. डॉर्मेटरी मतलब वही होता है, लॉज काइंड ऑफ ए थिंग, वेयर यू गो एंड स्लीप इन द नाइट. सो दिस वाज द कॉन्सेप्ट अर्लियर. मींस बेसिकली इट वाज अ बेडरूम स्पेस ओनली, सिर्फ सोने के लिए. But edge cities में, now edge cities over a period of time have developed into multi-nuclei. Means यहाँ पे भी एक nucleus develop हुआ. So in the edge cities, the jobs are also being provided. Now in the edge cities, they will be having more jobs than bedrooms. So this is developing into a new city altogether. देखो, it is a settlement. It is a settlement that has grown rapidly in recent times. That has grown rapidly in recent times. Example, Navi Mumbai. Navi Mumbai. Noida, Gurgaon, Noida, Gurugram, etc. It has more jobs than bedrooms. It has more jobs than bedrooms. Mostly located on urban freeway. Mostly located on urban freeway. Freeway means highways. Freeway means highway. People from edge city use automobiles, private automobiles. People from edge city use private automobiles. Next point. Role of the real estate developers is also significant. Role of the real estate developers also has become significant. Because the government won't be able to provide all the services there. That's why private developers नए मॉल, नए हाउसिंग कॉम्प्लेक्सेस कंस्ट्रक्ट करना चालू कर देंगे. ओके, दैट्स व्हाई दे बिल्ड न्यू मॉल्स, न्यू रेजिडेंशियल कॉम्प्लेक्सेस एक्सेट्रा. Therefore, the role of the real estate developers will increase. Okay, next point. There is political vacuum. There is political vacuum. because it is not completely under the municipality control, not completely under the municipality control. Generally governed by private, generally governed by the private. Example, Residence Welfare Organization, RWS, Residence Welfare Association. So this is Edge City. There's one more concept called as, so this is also one of the models of the post Fordist cities, that is privatopia. Like Utopia, you have privatopia. See, privatopia can be a typical gated community like this. देखो, it's a private housing development. It's a private housing development administered by Home Owners Association. Home Owners Association. They are the free spaces where extravagance means lavish lifestyle. Extravagance is the way of living. Extravagance is the way of living. Example, gated community. Example, gated community. So next is the culture of heteropolis. Culture of heteropolis. What is cosmopolitan area? Cosmopolitan area का मतलब क्या है? See, it's like cultural fusion. So people from different parts of the world, people from different parts of the country come together. They develop an identity of their own. That is called as cosmopolitan culture. इसका opposite ये है, heteropolis. Means people from different parts of the world or different parts of the country come and stay there, but they will not be having a common platform, or they will be not be having a common feeling of togetherness. Means if a Bihari comes, they will be staying in a Bihari community. If a Tamilian comes, they will stay in a locality where our Tamilians live. The city is segregated into various social groups. So in Fordist model, we have seen that. In Fordist model, there is class segregation, whereas in the post Fordist model, social segregation. Okay, देखो, heteropolis. The post-modern cities have a large population, especially a large migrant population, especially large migrant population. Who carry with them who carry with them their cultures, and they display their diaspora characteristics, Next point. So the cultures of heterogeneity are allowed to develop so that the problem of socio-economic polarization, racism, inequality, homelessness, and social unrest do not disturb the fabric of the city. See, but again in long run, it will cause all these problems. For example, okay, Indians are going and staying in New York. Generally क्या होता है, even in US or Canada all the Indians will be staying together only. सब लोग एक साथ में रहते हैं. मीन्स उस स्ट्रीट में अगर जाओगे ऐसे लगेगा कि आप अमेरिका में नहीं हो, इंडिया में ही हो. All the stores you will find Indian people working there. All the restaurants over there will be Indian. सब कुछ इंडियन ही होगा. So वहां जाने के बाद भी आपको ऐसे नहीं लगेगा कि आप कहीं दूसरे देश में रह रहे हो. So आपस में डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं होगा because they are all same set of people. Likewise, the Chinese diaspora will also stay in a locality where all Chinese people will be there. So momentarily, you might feel that the racism is reduced. But in future, what will happen? When all the communities are not living together, if there is ghettoization, if there is segregation, then in future it will develop a lot of problems. Because only when people are living cohesively with each other, they will understand each other's problems. Initially, these kind of differences may be there, but over a period of time, they will understand each other. So, co-living hona chahiye. So, cities also develop such kind of things because, chalo, chal raha hai to chalne do. वैसे वाला attitude. Okay. In India, same problem is with the Muslims also. They live in separate localities. उनका housing society भी separate रहते हैं. So momentarily लगेगा कि अच्छा वो अलग है, ये अलग है, चलो शांतिपूर्वक सब कुछ चल रहा है. But in future, what will happen? The misunderstanding between the communities will increase. Okay, and majorly because of politics. And that will lead to a lot of problems in the future. Okay. Theme parks. Next is theme parks. It is a way of satisfying. The fantasies of suburban living by creating a pre-packaged engineered landscape. Change para. This allows the satisfaction of egos. particularly of white collar workers, particularly of the white collared workers. So next is fortified cities. Fortified cities. See, all these are the features of post-fortified cities. Fortified cities, for example, I'll tell you what happened. Yesterday, I also live in a gated community, matlab high security and all. So in my society, the tomato is sold for 100 rupees per kg. Right? Bahar, okay, choti si basti hai, there the tomato is 30 rupees per kg. So what I did is, yesterday I went to that place, I bought, all vegetables. खरीदा मैंने. So I told that, why you, next day आके मैंने discuss किया बाकी लोगों से कि आप इतना महंगा क्यों खरीद रहे हो यहाँ पे. अब just, okay, 2 मिनट के डिस्टेंस में एक छोटी सी बस्ती टाइप्स है, तो वहाँ पे आपको सस्ता मिल रहा है. Why didn't you buy? अच्छा, did you really go there? Is it even safe to roam over there? That too in the night time. मतलब they are obsessed with पता नहीं security. So that's why they'll be having fortification everywhere. Okay, in the society where I live now, even workers are not allowed to take lift. उनके लिए separate service lift होता है. If some worker, some delivery boy or someone is entering into common lift, others will object, saying that you're not supposed to enter into this lift. Service lift अलग है, वहाँ पे आओ. So such kind of obsession with security. So that will create gated communities or fortified cities. देखो. In post-Fordist cities, there's a great degree of socio-economic polarization and inequality. So this makes the rich class very obsessed with security. So next one, obsessed with security. Next is interdictory spaces. Interdictory spaces. So this is such kind of a space, okay, where you don't feel secure at all. Means security in terms of CCTV hai, but everywhere if you're being watched, you'll also feel insecure. So this is due to very high surveillance by the governments. These are called as the interdictory spaces. Okay, लिखो. It is found that the city has very high surveillance, and because of very high surveillance, people feel insecure. Next, globalized spaces. So the main CBD of the Fortis city is global command center also. So this becomes a globalized space, which is not just connected with the city but also connected with the entire world. These post-Fordist cities are also interconnected with the other cities of the world through the phenomena of globalization. So this is post-modern cities or post-Fordist cities. Okay. See, I'll give you a handout regarding urban area problems and solutions. वो मैं भेज दूंगा आपको, वो पढ़ लेना. Okay, because you have been saying that कुछ notes नहीं मिल रहा है, notes दे दूंगा. अगर notes चाहिए तो पूरा ही notes दे दूंगा मैं, पढ़ाऊंगा नहीं फिर. Okay. See, notes will be all copy paste work. It will not be much helpful. It will not be much organized. आपको एग्जाम में उतना मदद नहीं करेगा जितना आपको खुद का नोट्स करेगा. Handouts will be always handouts. Okay. So I guess we have completed all the topics of the syllabus. Let's have a look at the syllabus. So population, settlement and geography, right? This one. So types and patterns of rural settlements is done. Environmental issues is done. Hierarchy of urban settlements is done. Urban morphology is done. Primate city, rank size rule, functional classification of towns, sphere of urban influence, rural urban fringe, satellite towns. This I'll give handout, easy. Problems and remedies of urbanization. We have also studied a lot on sustainable development of cities. So इसमें ना the later portion जो है, second portion जो है, that is more important. Okay. So all these topics have been done very deeply. आपको notes के अलावा और कुछ पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं, पहले notes पढ़ो and then attempt the previous year questions and send it to me. If you write the answer, send it to me. Now paper 2, let's see. Paper 2, settlements. Morphology of rural settlements is done. Urban developments, morphology of Indian cities, functional classification of Indian cities, conurbation is done. Metropolitan region ही नहीं किया, उसके साथ साथ बहुत सारी चीजें किया है. Urban sprawl, Okay. See, slums and associated problems, I will send you handout. Okay. आपको notes भी चाहिए ना? Again, problems of remedies and urbanization, problems of urbanization and remedies. For that also I'll send you handout. Okay. Town planning is nothing but, we have seen various models now. Okay. Smart city, yes, all these things will come in town planning. So this part and this part is done. So settlements, cultural settings of paper 2 हो गया, and in paper 1 population and settlement geography is over. So next chapter will be starting is regional planning. That is concept of a region, types of regions, methods of regionalization, growth center, growth pole, regional imbalances, regional development strategies, environmental issues in regional planning, planning for sustainable. This is very interesting topic. So after this we'll start with this, and then of course we'll have these models and theories in which we have done this. Christopher and Losch किया है, and Malthusian, Marxian, ये models we have done. Center place theory is done. Okay, 4 to 5 models will be remaining in this. Okay. So online students, if you're having any other concerns, let me know, because regarding the syllabus and notes, you'll have lot of confusion. So that's why time and again I am clearing. सिलेबस ये है, इस आपको ये पढ़ना चाहिए, उसका नोट्स ये है. Any doubt online students? Any concerns? Is there anything which I can do more for you? और कुछ कर सकता हूं तो please let me know. Anyways, the reply will come 20 minutes late. So whatever I have to do, I have done on my behalf. Now the onus is on you to read all these things and remember all these things. Because only when you remember, you'll be able to interconnect it between various topics. And then you'll be able to reproduce in the examination. So पहले समझो, उसके बाद मेमोराइज भी करना है. इतनी अच्छी तरह समझो कि मेमोराइज करने के लिए ज़्यादा एफर्ट ना लगे. So happy Raksha Bandhan to everyone. See you on 12th again. Tomorrow there is no class. Okay. See you on 12th. Thank you. And online students, if you are having any concerns, please let me know. You can message me personally also or on the group also, whatever. Thank you. आपको तो अच्छा चल रहा है ना?